This is Mlc Tv News, reaching you live from the city of Lokoja, Kogi State. I am Fatima Yakub. The headlines: 10,000 vulnerable Kogi citizens will have access to free medical care, and Sudan military detains Prime Minister. Now the news in detail. The Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, James Lalu, has revealed that the federal government has commenced aggressive campaigns to re-enroll out-of-school children, especially those with disabilities, back into schools. The NCPWD boss was speaking at a 5-day workshop on curriculum development on disability and inclusive development organized by National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. Lalu added that President Muhammadu Buhari had given them a mandate to enforce the rights of persons with disabilities and to prepare an enabling environment to implement the act. He explained that the president had ordered that the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities should make education attractive for persons with disabilities. He added that to make education attractive, the Commission, alongside its stakeholders, will be reviewing the curriculum for persons with disabilities to ease the burden of education. The government said the intention for planning the program is tied to Section 18 of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition, 2018 Section 18 subsection 2, which specifically gave the power to be able to review the curriculums and find ways to include disability and inclusive development in what they are teaching students in the university. Professor Ajekomoya Julius, a lecturer from the University of Ibadan, said the Commission has done quite well in implementing some of its programs within its 1 year in office, and if given the necessary support, can do much more. Ikwo Okon, who represented the Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Colleges of Education, NCCE, observed that this is a giant stride by NCPWD. He added that the NCCE already has a program for special needs education, saying the curriculum they draw for them is totally inclusive and will not relent their effort. The national president of the Nigerian National Association of the Blind, Ishaq Adamu, commended the leadership of the Commission for the exemplary leadership in handling the affairs of the Commission. The federal government said that the country had a 0.78% prevalence for blindness. The Minister of Health, Osage Hanere, disclosed this during a press briefing to commemorate the World Sight Day. The theme of this year's celebration is Love Your Eyes, and the slogan is Save Your Sight. The World Sight Day focuses on the importance of eyes and the related ailments, which many times people tend to ignore. The WSD is an annual day of awareness held on the second Thursday of October to focus global attention on vision impairment, including blindness. The program will run for a week with various activities lined up, which includes advocacy visits to various agencies and organizations, school eyesight programs, which will make it compulsory for each child to go through vision testing and other activities. Hanere, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Maman Mahmouda, also said that 84% of the blinding diseases in the country were avoidable. He, however, added that lack of awareness and inaccessibility to healthcare services were possible reasons why the blinding disease could not be avoided. He said, in a country such as ours, with a prevalence of 0.78% for blindness and 84% of these blinding diseases are avoidable, with possible causes like cataract, glaucoma, refractive errors, uncorrected aphakia, harmful traditional eye practices, corneal opacities, and NTDs like trachoma, lack of awareness and inaccessibility of eye care services are possible reasons why many Nigerians still remain visually impaired, as they still seek unorthodox eye care, which leads to disastrous treatment outcomes. He, however, stated that the integration of primary eye care into primary health care would change the pattern of eye care services in Nigeria. Also speaking, the Senior Program Manager for Eye Health Sight Savers, Dr. Sauben Penzin, said that nearly every one person on earth would experience an eye disorder in life, and it gets more possible as they get older. According to the World Health Organization, more than 2.2 billion people, quarter of the world's population, have visual impairment, with 4 times as many people affected in low and middle income countries. More than half of this vision loss is preventable or treatable, but lack of quality eye care services means many people cannot access the care they need. It is estimated that globally hundreds of billions of dollars is lost in productivity each year because of visual impairment and blindness. Benson explained that since 1950, Sightsavers has collaborated with ministries of health and partners in more than 30 countries to eliminate avoidable blindness. She called on the government to make sure everyone everywhere could access eye care means, including women, people with disabilities, and other marginalized groups in eye health programs and their designs. On her part, the National Advisor Inclusive Eye Health Nigeria Christopher B. Linden Mission Christian Blind Mission, CBM Delichiku Anyemeka, said that the importance of the eye health could not be overemphasized, as at least 1 billion people have a vision impairment that could have been prevented or were yet to be addressed globally. She added that everyone have a role to play in creating awareness and educating the general public on blindness and visual impairment. Kogi State Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje has offered an automatic teaching employment to a blind person, Dahuru Abdulhamid Idris, who has been teaching voluntarily. This was contained in a statement issued by Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Abba Anwar. Dahiru Abdulhamid Idris, 28, was born with visual impairment in the Kofar Dawano quarters, Dalal local government area, Kano State. In an interview, he said he obtained the National Certificate in Education (NCE) in English Political Science from the Aminu Kano College of Islamic and Legal Studies and has been serving as a voluntary teacher in a community school in his area since 2014. The virtually impaired young man is presently pursuing a degree in political science at the National Open University of Nigeria. After ushering the blind young man to the governor by the Commissioner of Education, Muhammadu Sanusi Kiru, Governor Ganduje directed that the visually impaired person be posted to Tudun Maliki Special Education School. He was described as a role model whose visual impairment does not stand as a stumbling block for development. A Federal Capital Territory High Court in Maitama has discharged and acquitted Monel Gwazo, former Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The presiding judge, Olukayode Adeniyi, on Friday, while ruling on a no-case submission filed by Gwazo, said the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, failed to prove its case against the accused. Recalls that the ICPC has preferred a 6-count charge against the former SEC Director General in 2020 for allegedly awarding several contracts to Outbound Investment Limited, a private company where he allegedly doubled as a director even while he was DG of SEC. However, Gwazo filed a no-case submission after the prosecution closed its case. The former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, had suspended Gwazo as the DG of SEC in November 2017 for allegedly approving 104 million naira for himself as severance package for being a former SEC commissioner. In a petition, Gwazo was also accused of awarding contracts to members of his family and friends. In violation of the rules guiding the commission, he denied the allegation. The Edo State High Court sitting in Benin City has restrained Amagba village from meddling with Pastor Osage Ize Iyamu's farmland in the community. Justice P.A. Akehiro gave the interim injunction on the 21st in 2021 in a motion expiatory filed by Pastor Ize Iyamu and I.O. Farms Limited in the suit marked B623-2021 with Elder J.B. Omoma and 6 others as defendants. Justice P.A. Akihiro restrained the defendants from further encroaching, bulldozing, selling or leasing the said land pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. The court also restrained the defendants, its servants, agents, or proxies from meddling with the said land or demolishing improvements on the land pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. It is widespread knowledge that the farmland in question was legally acquired by Pastor Osage Ize Iyamu and I.O. Farms Limited between 2009 and 2014 with valid certificates of occupancy subsequently issued by the Edo State Government. By this injunction, the general public is hereby advised to steer clear of the said properties as it will amount to contempt of court not to do so. Nigeria Teachers Institute restates commitment to the production of quality, better and responsible teachers. Professor Musa Garba Meitafsel, the Director and Chief Executive of the National Teachers Institute, Kaduna, has said that the Institute's mandate is the production of quality, better, responsible and modern-oriented teachers in the country. Meitafsel made the disclosure in Maiduguri, Borno State, at the closing of the training for 250 teachers from Mate, Mongono, and Ngazai local governments. This is contained in a statement issued in Abuja by the Public Relations Officer of the Institute, Alhaji Yushau Muhammad. The statement said that the training took place between October 18th and 22nd with the theme Efficient Record Management and Electronic Documentation. The director commended the member of the House of Representatives, Mohammed Tahir Mongono, for sponsoring the training. The Member of Parliament has shown commitment to promote teacher education in his constituency, despite the vulnerability of the communities which were plagued by insurgency. Meitafsel said that the teachers have really benefited from the gesture, which is part of the dividends of democracy in the state. The director urged the teachers to reciprocate the invaluable gesture in their own ways. At the end of the training, the 250 teachers got allowances for attending and 50 of the teachers went home with laptop computers. The Governing Council of Federal Polytechnic, Bauchi, has approved the dismissal of 2 lecturers, Abubakar Baba and Adebusoye Sunday, over allegations of sexual harassment leveled against them. Director Sanusi Gumau announced their dismissal while briefing newsmen at the end of 98th meeting of the council in Bauchi. Gumau said that the decision was reached after thorough investigation of the matter by a committee set up by the institution. He said that Baba was a lecturer in the Department of Nutrition and Dietetics, while Sunday was lecturer of the Department of General Studies. He said, when queried, the suspect replied and the reply was not satisfactory, and then they established a committee to investigate the matter thoroughly to logical conclusion. The council has finally approved their dismissal from the service. Gumau said the 2 lecturers were no longer staff of the Polytechnic and assured that their dismissal letter will be handed over to the necessary security agencies for appropriate actions. The director commended the Bauchi government, traditional leaders, and host communities for their support to the institution. Meanwhile, the rector revealed that the Students' Academic Board of the institution had also expelled 30 students for various offenses. Gumau said that 14 of the students were expelled for examination malpractices, while 16 others for certificate forgery. You're still watching Mlc TV News. We'll be right back.
Mlc TV Online is here. For your timely and reliable news that reaches you fast with the breaking news, choose Mlc TV. Get human interest stories right here on Mlc TV. With entertainment, sports, business, culture, tourism, and fashion news stories all featured on Mlc TV. Not forgetting political and current affairs news, state and federal government and people's matters will be discussed regularly on Mlc TV. Mlc TV, your one-stop online destination for unbiased, accurate news, entrepreneur ideas, and youth matters to the rest of the world. Mlc TV, reaching everywhere, informing everyone.
Welcome back. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons says it has reunited 2 children kidnapped in Lafia, Nasarawa State, with their parents after being abducted and sold for adoption in Southeast State and given Igbo name. The anti-trafficking agency said Sharif Umar and Abdullahi Adamu, 3-year-olds, lived with their parents in Lafia when a neighbor kidnapped them in May. Speaking at the handover ceremony of the children, NAPTIP Director General Fatima Waziri Azi noted that the 2 children were among 47 children reported to have been kidnapped in Nasarawa. She said they got information from the Civil Defense and swing into action, and officials from the Department of Operations and Investigations were able to track some suspects and arrest them. Waziri Azi said the arrest of the suspects led to the rescue of Sharif and Abdullahi. They are young kids. Sharif and Abdullahi are their birth names, but when they were trafficked across state lines, they were given Igbo names. She added, one was given Chigomezu Njoku and the other was given Chibueze Daniel. This came to fruition through the support of a sister law enforcement agency. The police, DSS, NSCDC, the NAPTIP boss also disclosed that the suspects would be charged to court. Later that the evidence on ground would lead the agency to the cartel. According to her, they hope that the way they were able to track these two kids, they will be able to track more. The agency is working, and they are working in partnership with other law enforcement agencies to make sure they succeed. No fewer than 10,000 vulnerable residents of Kogi would access free quality healthcare services under the Bello Care Equity Fund of Kogi State Health Insurance Agency. This is in addition to the 31,491 vulnerable citizens already enrolled by the federal government's Basic Healthcare Fund across the state. The Kogi State Commissioner for Health, Saka Haruna Audu, disclosed this at the flag-off ceremony of the health insurance benefits for the people in Ajakuta, Kogi State. The commissioner said the gesture was part of Bello Care Health Insurance, one of the programs in Kogi State Health Insurance Scheme. He noted that he had procured health insurance benefit package for 50 vulnerable citizens of Ajakuta constituency in Kogi State. He said it is to increase coverage for the people towards the attainment of universal health coverage, which is the utmost desire of the administration of Yaya Bello. He called on all well-meaning sons and daughters of Kogi State to procure any of the available health insurance packages for their own people, especially to cushion the effect of the current wave of harsh economic downturn in the country. He added that the government of Yaya Bello had done so much in improving the supply side of healthcare. There was a wild jubilation in Sagamo area of Ogun State following the distribution of working materials by Yaniwura Foundation to the almost 20 artisans to assist their endeavors in life. The beneficiaries are hairdressers, welders, graphics designers, and artists were selected, each from Olayinka, Ogunyawu, Ashaye, and Folarin streets in Sagamo local government area. Meanwhile, the foundation has given out to the society in mass during the pandemic period through food relief to many communities in Ogun State. Scholarship and empowerment of the widow and aged people too was facilitated by the foundation lately. The artisans were targeted in Sagamo after thorough research by the foundation executives to ensure there is no fall in the distribution. The group said the biggest way to secure the society is by empowering the youths to reduce the rate of crimes across the state and country. And the company, in its usual ways of supporting the artisans and traditional talents, would always be rendering their assistance to the serious individuals who are very vast in their field of endeavors. Also advised the youth to stay away from all forms of violence and represent the youths very well anywhere they find themselves. The foundation was founded in December 2020 by Are Adetola Olanipeku Emmanuel King to give back to the needy from what God has done for his family. Sokoto State Government has announced that it has asked federal government to suspend its telecom blockade on 14 local government areas of the state. The blockade, which was also imposed in Zamfara and Kaduna State, is part of the strategy employed to tackle banditry in northwest states. Sokoto State Government, its appeal for review of the blockade became necessary after an enlarged Security Council meeting on the fallout of bandits' attack on Goroyo Market, which claimed the lives of 43 people last week. A statement released by Governor Aminu Tambuwal's media aide, Mohammed Bello. According to the governor, Aminu Tambuwal, the call for the reinstating of the blockade became necessary in view of concerns expressed by security outfits in the state that the outage was affecting the smooth conduct of their work. He said the state government has already forwarded a letter to the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy to reveal the internet blockade. The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has alerted Nigerian telecom users of a new malware called FluBot in a statement by its Director of Public Affairs, Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde. NCC described the malware as of high risk and extremely damaging. Giving details about how the malware operates, NCC advised on what to do to guard against being victims. According to the statement, the Nigeria Communications Commission, NCC, wishes to alert millions of Nigerian telecom consumers of the existence of new high-risk and extremely damaging malware called FluBot. The malware is a generic word used to describe a virus or software designed specially to disrupt, damage, or gain unauthorized access to a computer system. According to the information received from the Nigeria Computer Emergency Response Team, the NGCERT affirmed that Flubot impersonates Android mobile banking application to draw a fake web view on targeted application, and its goal transcends stealing personal data and essentially targets stealing of credit card details or online banking credentials. Flubot is circulated through short message services (SMS) and can snoop on incoming notifications, initiate calls, read or write SMS, and transmit the victim's contact list to its control center. This malware attacks Android devices by pretending to be FedEx couriers and Chrome applications and compels unsuspecting users to alter the accessibility configurations on their devices in order to maintain continuous presence on devices. The new malware undermines the security of devices by copying fake login screens of prominent banks, and the moment the user enters the login details on the fake pages, their data is harvested and transmitted to the malware operators control point, from where the data is exploited by intercepting banking-related one-time password (OTPs) and replacing the default SMS app on the targeted Android device. Political leaders in Nigeria have been urged to play politics in accordance to the rules so as to ensure fairness, equity, and justice, which would engender peace and development. Archbishop Israel Afolabi Amo of the Kwara Province Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion, gave the admonition as the major political parties across the country concluded their state congresses and about holding their national conventions. He said, completion of state congresses and national conventions signaled the beginning of election cycle, urging all actors on the political stage to play by the rules of the game. The prelate also congratulated all parties that had successfully concluded the exercise and expressed gladness that there was no violence and loss of lives. In a statement signed by Venerable Julius Adesina, Director of Political and Social Mobilization for the province, he noted that the church leadership observed that there were reported cases of misunderstanding among party members which manifested in parallel state congresses, and therefore warned that such happenings could impact 2023 general elections negatively. He praised political stakeholders for their commitment towards sustaining peace, noting that every act of political violence affects not just the victims and immediate environment, but the entire social and economic system, which will eventually cast aspersions on the integrity of the nation's collective march towards a better society. Archbishop Amo advised party leaders to pursue the collective interest of the citizen and place it above the interest of individuals, no matter how highly placed, and that they should lead with the fear of the Lord, so that the country can be out of the woods. Now, on our foreign news. Sudan's military has detained Prime Minister, cabinet members in apparent coup. The apparent detention by Sudan's military of the country's Prime Minister and a large number of his cabinet and party members early Monday morning plunged the country's fragile democratic transition into disarray. Just days earlier, the capital, Khartoum, was swept by the biggest pro-democracy street protest since 2019, when longtime dictator Omar Hassan al-Bashir was toppled by a wave of popular discontent. Internet services were disrupted or unavailable in Khartoum and other parts of the vast northeast African country. According to phone calls with locals in Monday's early morning hours, later in the morning calls were not going through. Local news channels reported the closing of roads and bridges connecting Khartoum with the rest of Sudan by large contingents of security forces, as well as the suspension of flights at the airport. Since Bashir's ousting, the country has been governed by a hybrid civilian-military transitional council, and tensions over power sharing have repeatedly threatened to boil over into outright confrontation. The civilian side of the government, led by former economist Abdallah Hamdok, had recently set a November 17 deadline for a full transition to civilian power, and elections were meant to be held by the end of 2023. On Monday, Feldman's office said in a tweet that U.S. is deeply alarmed at reports of a military takeover of the transitional government. This would contravene the constitutional declaration and the democratic aspiration of the Sudanese people, and it's utterly unacceptable. They said any changes to the transitional government by force puts at risk U.S. assistance. Over to Aliyu Nasser on Sports Today.
Now sports updates. The Nigerian national women's team is through to the final round of qualifiers for the African Women Cup of Nations, built for Morocco next year. The Super Falcons survived a huge scare from one of their first rivals on the continent, Ghana, to edge closer to qualifying for Morocco 2022. Coach Randall Waldrom's girls were beaten 1-0 by the Black Queens on Sunday in Accra. But the 9-time African champions progressed with a 2-1 aggregate scoreline, having won the first leg 2-0 a few days in Lagos. Kano scored the 2 goals that gave the Falcons the edge going into the second leg, and even though Princess Adueba got a goal for the Black Queens in the return leg, it was not enough to deny the Falcons from progressing. The final round of qualifiers comes up in February next year. That is Sports Update. I'm Aliyu Nasir, reporting for Mlc TV.
Thank you, Aliyu Nasser, for the update. And to Matthias Ayodeji Peters on Entertainment News.
On entertainment news today, Alec Baldwin has broken his silence on the accidental death of cinematographer Aina Uchins on the set of Rust. The actor shared in a statement on Friday that he was heartbroken for Uchins' family and cooperating with the police on the ongoing investigation. There are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the tragic accident that took place. There are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the accident that took the life of Aina Uchins, a wife, mother, and deeply admired colleague of ours. I'm fully cooperating with the police investigation to address how the tragedy occurred, and I'm in touch with her husband, offering my support to him and his family. My heart is broken for her husband, their son, and all who knew and loved Aina, Baldwin tweeted. The western, which was being filmed at the Bonanza Creek Ranch outside Santa Fe, New Mexico, has been suspended, with the police stating the investigation leading to possible criminal charges have been opened. Co-produced by Baldwin, Rust is a set on a 13-year-old boy who goes on the run after accidentally killing a local rancher. Baldwin starred in the lead role as a notorious outlaw named Alan Rust. That is all on entertainment news today. Matthias Ayodeji Peter reporting for Mlc TV. Back to our caster for more stories.
Thank you, Matthias, for the update. This is our news package. Do join us tomorrow via the same channel. For sponsorship and advert, call the numbers displayed on your screen. Do like and subscribe to our social media handles: Facebook, Mlc TV, Instagram, Mlc TV 2021, and YouTube, Mlc Tv. I am Fatima Yakub. Thank you for staying with us.